Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I'll be reviewing What About the Bodies by Ken Jaworowski. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into a spoiler-free overview of the plot, talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I will be reading for next time. Ken Jaworowski is, and if I mispronounce the name, I apologize. That's the pronunciation I was able to find online. Is a relatively new author. He started publishing pretty late at 55. He published a book 2 years ago, and I think this is the second of his novels. He's also written plays. And this book, What About the Bodies, was nominated for an Edgar Award, which is given to mystery writers. He's also an editor at the New York Times. But what the book is about is kind of three interweaving storylines set in contemporary Pennsylvania, in this rural Pennsylvania town called Locksburg, which is located somewhere between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and is about three different stories. You have a woman named Carla, whose son is involved in they're trying to hide a secret, and the two of them are working together in order to hide this secret. And you have another character named Liz, who is kind of an aspiring musician, and she is has been struggling and kind of singing in bars and whatnot. And she kind of has like the big break of her life, her career, and it's interrupted by money problems. And the whole thing is her trying to. She has kind of a deadbeat boyfriend, and the two of them are trying to find schemes and ways to make money in order for her to be able to go and record at a studio and just kind of achieve her big break. She also has kind of an ailing father who has a form of dementia, and the two of them and their relationship, of how that may change if she kind of leaves town. And then there's a character named Reed, whose mother was one of the rich old families of this town that's kind of fallen on hard times, and he is neurodivergent, and he is trying to fulfill a promise to his mother, who is deceased, and trying to do that while dealing with his brother and his brother's child and the complications there of that character. And he's like in his early 20s. And yeah, that's kind of the thing. These stories interweave in certain parts in terms of the characters coming into the book, coming out of it, but for the most part, they're kind of these three distinct storylines. If you've seen Pulp Fiction, it reminded me a little bit of that, though this story is told completely linearly, so it just kind of goes from one point to the other. I found it to be really propulsive and fun. I thought that there were some really touching moments in the book that I wasn't expecting. The book is very much a try-fail cycle, if you're familiar with that. There's a lot of kind of this roller coaster of these characters getting into the situations. They get better, they get worse, and just kind of to going from scene to scene in order to kind of achieve these goals. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the characters. I was oddly moved in certain sections of the book. I think the book is very, very well written and very propulsive. It reminded me a little bit of, the old Goosebumps books, where you would end a chapter on a cliffhanger to start the next chapter. And he does this because he's kind of interweaving the story of these three characters. There's this built-in suspension of you wanting to kind of keep reading the book. So I read it in a couple days. It's very well done in that sense. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I was moved by it. I thought the ending of it was well done. There's one quibble I would have with the ending, which I'll get into in a second. But overall, I really enjoyed it and thought it was, if you're looking for just kind of a contemporary thriller mystery, I thought it was well done. I think it kind of captured the idea of this kind of small town where everyone is in kind of everyone else's business, but didn't really do it in kind of a mean or pandering way. I guess on the negative side, there's some stretching of credulity of certain plot points you just have to kind of accept. I think there's some of the dialogue that felt a little dated in certain places. There's a scene involving a police officer, that's a little hard to read. I think that scene is necessary in some ways to kind of show you this police officer being a bad person. I don't know if there was another way to do that maybe felt a little icky. And also kind of, to me, the stereotype of the small town police officer who's a racist cop, that may or may not be to your liking. So I just want to give that heads up in case that's something that you want to avoid for personal reasons, which is totally understandable. It's a very small part of the book, but it is in the book, and so I wanted to call that out. And then the one thing I would say about the end, there's two chapters that I think the book more would have been more effective. It had ended on one chapter versus another chapter. The book kind of ends on a hopeful note, and I think it would have been for me when I viewed the book. It is these three characters, but one set of characters is kind of to me slightly elevated over the other two. At least their story to me had the most like emotional weight to it, and I think it should have ended on that beat instead of the beat that it ends on. But both of them are good. You're kind of all the storylines are tied up very nicely, and I think that was very skilled. So I would recommend this book to anyone who likes contemporary mysteries, wants something like a page turner, and wants something maybe set in a smaller rural town. This contemporary novel. I didn't really have anything else other to say. Maybe some of the parts may feel a little schmaltzy to some people, but otherwise, I really enjoyed it. That was Ken Jaworowski. What About the Bodies? He's written another book that's also set in this town that I have not read, and I may go back and check that out. From what I really quickly gathered on the internet, they both share this fictional town, but I didn't see anything where the two books were connected in terms of plot or characters. So I don't know if that is the case. And I think that book is called Small Town Sins. So I may have checked that one out too, because I did enjoy this quite a bit. And next time I will be reading I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. So if you have enjoyed this, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll leave my Twitter link below. And until next time, bye.